You're watching WGN Midday News.
In today's Focus on Family, 6 ways to get kids to unplug and limit their time on computers and other electronic devices. Katherine Eskovitz is the author of Little Blueprint. It's a series of books for kids. And truly, when we talk about unplugging them, it actually means unplugging us as parents.
Yeah, you and I were talking about it. I mean, we all have kids and we're modeling behavior for our kids, and it's causing problems because they're seeing us online at dinner time, in the car. I mean, it starts with the parents.
Right. So we have to say, do as we do, not just as we say. And one of the first things that you say is delineate maybe some free zones in the house. And you talk about dinner. Maybe make it the kitchen.
Yeah, so one of the things I talk about with Little Blueprint is empowering children to develop a plan. But here as a family, you need a plan. And one of the tips is to have a tech-free zone. A tech-free zone, it could be the kitchen, it could be the bedrooms. Have a basket outside or a docking station where all the devices stay. And then you have a zone that's free, because chances are, as adults, we're going to check our email if we're holding our phone. I find myself, when I read Harry Potter to my kids, I was glancing at my email. And so it's easier to just have a tech-free zone. It's simpler and more productive.
Right. So, and it's not just the place, it's the time also. Maybe say, okay, during this hour or this hour, we're going to have tech-free time.
Exactly. Blackout times of the day are very productive. So we all know that at bedtime, if you're on devices, even an hour before bedtime, it suppresses melatonin. It helps us and delays our going to bed, and it helps us if we're off these devices. So an hour before bedtime, or you might say when you wake up in the morning and you're seeing your kids, when you walk in from work, you're seeing your kids for the first time, that's a great blackout time.
Right. And use those blackout times to be meaningful family times, where you're actually looking at one another and talking to one another, or reading, as you said.
Sometimes you have to disconnect to connect. This interpersonal relations is something that we now are abandoning, and we need to have more time where we have personal connectedness.
Okay, the next tip I think is going to be really challenging to do. You're saying take a day a month completely offline.
Really, really tough. But start with once a year. We now have this national unplug movement once a year.
Once a year.
So you got to take baby steps, but you start to have an extended period of time where you're with your kids and your family offline. Now they have vacation spots where they're Wi-Fi free. So you find that if you're offline for an extended period of time, not just 5 minutes or an hour, you really change your interpersonal relations. So it's a great thing to try and just sort of remind ourselves of how to use tech in a more productive and useful way, but not in a rude and overbearing way.
Well, imagine the conversations that you could have if you're not distracted by looking at the email. And that's one of your next tips is take the time, say, okay, maybe at the top of the hour, we'll check the email, but not constantly trying to have it download.
So you can have specific times a day where you check your email instead of regularly throughout the day. And this is the biggest thing I find myself doing, is always checking emails. So set it very bright lines for yourself. You're only checking email during X times a day. And believe it or not, you're more productive, and you don't always have to be checking your emails.
There are tools and apps that you mentioned that you can actually monitor your activity. And I think we would all be shocked if we looked at how many texts we send, how many times we're on there, how many times we check Facebook or whatever it is.
So true. So at littleblueprint.com, I'm always updating this on our blog because these are always changing. But I spoke to a girl in Chicago, Jordan, this morning, who said, oh, her mom's on Facebook. If Facebook's your issue, then you can use apps and tools called self-control or focus or freedom that you can block out Facebook or block out whatever it is for certain periods of time. And if you need those tools, they're available. They're there. And on littleblueprint.com, we update them. But those tools are available to help you block out certain websites that you are addicted to or can't seem to stay off of.
Because we can't teach unless we learn ourselves. It's really good advice. It's tough to swallow, but it's good advice.
It's true.
Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
If you want more ideas and information on Katherine's book collection, you can visit littleblueprint.com, and we can link you there from our webpage as well, WGNTV.com/midday. Thanks for good advice.